Apparently not like us.
Take it all. Wiggle it. The white boy's got to shout.
And welcome to the Leavecast. No, Tavern Talk. My bad. We are a full spoiler Wheel of Time based talk show based on the epic series by Robert Jordan. I'm always distracted by your dancing, Dan. Welcome, everybody. Today we have a great show. But before we begin our topic, I want to introduce our today's guest, Light Blinded Fool. Everyone, round of applause for Light Blinded Fool. Yay!
My man! Woo!
Oh no, it's Light Blinded Fool! Everybody run for your lives! He is coming! He is coming! Wait, help us! Wait, help save the world!
Oh no!
Best working obligation ever, by the way.
Nice. Gitara Moroso predicted you're coming on the show. So much is going to change. All right, so
he burns
everyone,
like the sun.
Speaking of which, we are diving deep into Gitara Moroso, the intrepid, maybe the ultimate Aes Sedai. When you think about how everyone trembles when you talk about an Aes Sedai, I bet it all started with Gitara. Once you start getting into her story and all the actions that she takes, you see that she has permutations throughout the book. As Light Blinded Fool said backstage, possibly the smallest screen time for the biggest impact. And we're going to talk about it. Before we go, again, also, everyone, if you are a human on any of the spectrums, please like and subscribe to this channel. We do this weekly, and all your support is helpful. Guys, Gitara Moroso. We got quotes. Wada Holocaust and Gnome and Garden have been furiously working their asses off this week, getting us all the quotes we need to help fulfill our obligation to get at the truth about Gitara Moroso. We're rethinking Gitara.
Yeah, much appreciated. This has been our chats have been crazy this week. And so we are putting on our conspiracy goggles, I think, because we're going deep into this this person who may have set everything in motion. Right, Jansen and Light Blinded? We have, yeah. So let's get a little background on who Gitara Moroso is, etc.
Okay. Gitara Moroso is one of the oldest Aes Sedai living at the time. She had been dabbling in many things, and a lot of it's been undercover, and she doesn't really start getting any national notoriety as far as her environment around the world until she becomes the advisor to Queen Mordralane in Andor. And she puts herself there. In previous books of the Wheel of Time, we also have another advisor who also was an advisor to the Queen of Andor, Elida Duavrani Arroyo. And I kind of think that, I don't kind of think, I know that in one of Elida's POVs, she talks about why she placed herself into that position. So, and that was because of her foretelling. I think that Gitara did the same thing. I think that she placed herself in this place because she knew how much depended on the royal bloodline of Andor. It wouldn't be the first time that we've heard that the royal bloodline of Andor has triggered someone to have a foretelling. And that can be said through Elida, through Gitara, and also through Mint. There were a lot of foretelling around this bloodline, so it makes sense that Gitara would place herself in this position.
Now, we know, like, we could break down her impact into three main categories, right? First, she installs herself in like you're talking about. And then, while she's there, and I have a quote I'm going to bring up right now. She apparently is spending more time with Luke and Tigraine than with the Queen. And let's read this quote. I'll start. She hesitated, then sighed. I do not suppose it matters. Someday you must tell me how you had ideal parents yet were raised in Andor. 25 years ago, more now, the daughter heir of Andor vanished in the night. Her name is Tigraine. She left behind a husband, Terengale, and a son, Galad. I know it is only chance, yet I see Tigraine in your face. It was a shock. Rand felt a shock of his own. He felt cold. Fragments of the tale of the wise ones had told him spun through his head. A golden-haired young wetlander, in silks. Son she loved, a husband she did not. Shael was the name she took. She never gave another. You have something of her in your features. How was it that Tigraine vanished? I have an interest in the history of Andor. I will thank you not to call it history, my Lord Dragon. I was a girl when it happened, but more than a child, and here in the palace often. One morning, Tigraine simply was not in the palace. She never seen again. Some claim to see Tigraine's hand in it, but he was half mad with Terengale's hand in it, but he was half mad with grief. Terengale Damodred wanted more than anything else in the world to see his daughter Queen of Andor and his son of King of Cairhien. He was Cairhien, Terengale. That marriage was meant to stop the wars with Cairhien, and it did. Yet Tigraine vanishing made them think Andor wanted to break the treaty, which led them to scheme the way Cairhiens do, which led to Lama's pride. And of course you know where that led, she added dryly. Now, that's crazy. Like,
that was Dylan who spits fire, right?
There's so much happening right now in the world.
Yeah, it's a cauldron, right? But literally sending Tigraine off for foretelling, which we did not witness. We have no POVs of her having this foretelling. She just tells Tigraine that you need to go, and she goes, making the Queen heartbroken, leaving her heartbroken. The next thing that she did was she sent Luke to the Blight.
Did that a year before Tigraine.
Yeah, Luke was
okay. Chronologically, okay. So she sent Luke out, sends the son, sends the daughter, and leaves the Queen in destitution.
Yeah.
Now,
causes the secession war in Andor.
Literally.
Luke is also Mordrellin's son.
Yes. Tigraine's older brother.
Correct.
Younger brother.
Yeah.
Younger. He was born 4 years after Tigraine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she advises so we know how Andor works, guys. We know that if you have a daughter heir, well, the son is going to be the first sword, correct?
That's right.
Yet, Gitara sends off Luke, saying, we don't know why this happened. We know with Tigraine that she said that there would be something bad that happens or something. It said, let me see. She knew that, she knew that something, I'm not seeing it right now. She said if she didn't go to the waste and be a maiden, a disaster would happen, is what we are told. Correct?
Right. And she's, the advisor, the Aes Sedai advisor to the Queen, and has been around their lives for as long as they can probably remember, or close to it. And so they obviously highly respect her. And Aes Sedai can't lie, and they know she does foretellings. So Luke and Tigraine probably would be like, okay, yeah, this has got to be true, and if it's going to be a downfall for the world if I don't do this, that's really serious for them.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Go ahead, Ryan.
No. Okay. Yeah, and then she sent Tigraine, then goes off on foot. Her horses are dying. She's barely alive. She's crawling to the waist. Like, these people are heroic. If that's their POV, if that's what they're thinking, that's Tigraine and Luke start off as heroes.
Well,
But-
you know, something that is a lot of people never think about. We all know the guitar could foretell, but we also know that just about every single person that can foretell, it comes to them differently.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it in like people like Nicola Treehill, who never remembered one word that she said, you know, or Elida, who completely didn't understand anything that she said. She just said the words and had no meaning or understanding of them. But then we have Gitara. We don't know exactly how she read her foretone. And I was gonna wait. I have a bombshell theory that I would not be saying if I didn't have one hell of a lot of circumstantial evidence.
All right.
Let's hear it. I wish I had a bombshell drop sound.
Gitara Moroso
Uh-huh.
was Black Aja.
All right, that's right. Okay, let's get
Like
into
theory.
it. That's so funny. I was arguing with Ben Wadaholic and Noman Garden this very theory. They call it loony, and I felt sad because I don't think it's loony at all.
I have evidence.
Well, yeah. Well, let's get into it. But before we do, this might help the conversation. Dan, you want to read this? This is Masana talking.
All right. This is Masana. I'll get my Masana voice.
Yeah, please.
So, our Elida has had a foretelling, Masana chimed, and Aviaran realized with the start that she had reached the end of her recital. Her knees hurt, but she knew better than to rise without permission. A finger of shadow tapped Silver lips thoughtfully. Has she seen any sister make that gesture? Strange that she should be so clear and so erratic at the same time. It was always a rare talent, and most who had it spoke so only poets could understand, usually until it was too late to matter, at least. Everything always became clear then. And excuse me, this brings up a point. I do not think someone who has the talent of foretelling can control if and when it happens. I think in my head, if Gitara Moroso was a Black Aja, she spoke and she burned when Rand was done, which is much like what a Dark Friend experiences. But anyways, she said she is inadvertently helping out the light side with these foretellings because she can't control it, in my view. What do you guys think?
I think that that's partially true. I think it's definitely true. And I also think that we already saw one time where Hadron Nile was writing information down, and when he died, the wine or the ink destroyed the information. I think that Gitara was writing information about how to kill the Dragon Reborn to Dark Friends when she died. And I think the pattern killed her. I think that we've seen evidence before when Rand's aura killed or maimed or hurt a Dark Friend. And what was the guy's name? Ram Torkerman. Remember that guy? Ram Torkerman in Meridon, I think it was. He died when Rand faced the shadow outside Meridon's walls. It was either him or his wife who got maimed or blinded by Rand's aura. By Jesse's
out the window.
Yes.
He stabbed himself with a pen or something.
Yes. And
didn't someone's eyes burn out or something?
Yeah. She plucked him out or whatever, but he still saw the light through it. I think that Gitara died that way by Rand's aura, and I think the pattern killed her.
Okay, I'm going to add to that theory. And like I said, we did not have a POV of her actually having all of her foretellings save the one. Now, if she were a Black Aja, it's easy enough to use that kind of the gravitas of being a foreteller to then just go around just manipulating the world by saying I had a foretelling. Now, it's like in Game of Thrones, if you don't see a body, don't believe they're dead. Like, if you don't see the foretelling, I'm skeptical. And perhaps the one true foretelling that she had was Rand's foretelling, which obviously happened. We have witnesses, and it freaking kills her. Like, yeah, I believe to my core that this is exactly the case. That guitar. Okay, so the one argument I do have about with my own brain is like, okay, making Luke leave and then becoming Isam. That seems like an obvious dark friend maneuver, right?
Absolutely.
But then why, if you don't want the Dragon Reborn born, why would you send Tigraine out to go get pregnant, have a baby that dies on the right in Dragonball? Like, why would you set that in motion?
You're assuming that she knew when she foretold that Tigraine had to go to the waste, that the reason was because she was going to have Rand. You know, she didn't. She might not have known that.
Yeah,
I
she was
agree,
trying to
there's
get rid of
nothing-
Andoran Noble.
There's nothing to suggest that she
okay.
does know that, as far as like that Rand had to be born of the Aiel. I don't think that was known amongst the Aes Sedai at that time.
I don't think it was either. I think that, well, I don't think that the Aes Sedai or anyone, with perhaps the exception of Viren,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even think she had it all, had all of the prophecies to the dragon.
It
And I
was
think that is where they're getting what they're getting at. And I talked with you guys earlier about this in the show. I think they're getting at the fact that nobody actually knows the entire prophecies of the dragon, at least in TV world. And I think that that's the same thing here. I don't think everybody knows all of the prophecies. I even think some of the prophecies of the dragon are in that book Moradin has, the Book of the Dead or whatever. I think that some of them are in the Ascenic cycle that Viren somehow knows that the Shanshan have. And to know all that, you have to get to what, the 10th level of elevation or something like that. But
get rid of Théoden's.
yeah, I don't think everybody has it all. And I don't think Gitara knew everything. I think that she knew, and the way that she manifested her talent was that she knew something had to happen.
So here's my question, Jansen, to support you. Correct. So we have that Gitara sent off Luke, and apparently in the notes that I've read, it says that it was more or less he encouraged him to go find glory in the blight. There wasn't any other main reason besides that for Luke to go out there, or for Luke. But we have a dark prophecy that is written in blood after. In the beginning of, I think, the Great Hunt, and among that,
Will ever be?
What's that?
Blood shall ever be. You talking about the Daughter of the Night one?
Right. But it also goes into Slayer, and it says right on the wall, Luke came to the mountains of doom. Isam waited in the high passes. The hunt is now begun. The shadows hounds now course and kill. One did live and one did die, but both are. It says, excerpt from the Dark Prophecy. Is it possible that this prophecy is from Gitara Moroso?
Possibly, but also, so if she was a dark friend of, Black Aja, who was giving her orders? Did she have Alvarin's position? As like the queen of the high council? Was she like the head of it? Was she getting orders from Ishmael at the time? We know that Alvarin had a rendezvous with him. So, 40 years from there, or what is it, 40 or 80? Every 80 he came. So she would have been there in one of those cycles.
Yeah, isn't she like 306 years old or something?
Yeah, she's the oldest one ever. And shortly after she dies, Tamara and all of her friends are killed.
Yeah.
And so that leads to suggest that there is someone that Oh, okay. Gitara Moroso is gone. We gotta go in because Gitara at the point was Keeper of the Chronicles, which does seem to be a dark friend favorite position.
Yeah.
It's all lining up.
Well,
I
see,
go back to
Dan,
what you
Dan, is
before.
it? Do the dark friends seek the position, or does the position make them a dark friend? We got to figure this out.
Ask Dick
look
Cheney,
at the
Ryan.
look at the parallels of what's happening in the tower then and all of the turmoil in the world. And in Rand time, that was all done by the keeper Alvarin, like making all these horrible things happen. It's very, very, very easy to say that Gitara was doing the same thing. Because think about how bad it was during those times. You know, the streets of Tarvalin were empty, the gates were closed, you know, there was fighting outside of the walls. It was different, in Moraine's point of view, in New Spring, it was different than any other time. The only two actual full Aes Sedai in the tower at the time were Gitara and Tamra, surrounded by acceptance. So there was a lot of bad things going on. And, you know, that's right for Forsaken. You know, that's like basically fertile soil for them. That's where you see them happening. You know, that's where you see them doing their worst. So it's a bad time. And you know that the Shadow has always had its minions inside the White Tower. So I thought
Yes.
I always thought it interesting how they never really talked much about that in like the New Spring.
Well,
or
actually,
in-
here's a quote from New Spring. Funny you should mention that. Swan frowned. We already know the last battle is coming. She fell silent while Catelyn and Serene passed, talking warily of whether they were too tired to eat, then went on once they were beyond earshot. What does it matter if Gitara had a dozen foretellings or 100? Swan, did you never wonder how Tamara could be certain this is the time that the boy will be born now? I would say it is very likely that at least one of those other foretellings spoke of him. Something that, put with what we heard her say, told Tamara that now is the time. Well, that's weird. It was Moraine's turn to frown and thought, do you know how the foretelling was with Gitara? It took different women in different ways, including how they gave voice to a foretelling. The way she spoke, he could have been being born at that moment. Maybe the shock of that was what killed her. Now, several interesting things. If she's a famous person with foretelling, it seems like I feel like we've had two different instances of people asking about what her foretellings were like. Okay, which begs the question: how, like again, like it just adds suspicion for me because, like, no one knows what they even sound like, what they look like. They right because they don't. She's just not like if she's a famous foreteller, you just assume that people would have accounts of it.
Well,
right?
we do have one description, obviously.
We have the one, yeah, which I believe is just like the big one. Like, you know, I do believe she had foretelling.
Yeah,
and I do believe that Moraine witnessed it, and she croaked right there. And I do believe that the only reason why she would die, I mean, she's 306 years old. That's not gonna do. But I mean, she is that, like total just dark friend, like ran literally pattern level event, as Wadaholic would say, took her out, possibly for thwarting more nefarious, horrible things she could be possibly pulling off.
I mean, here's the other thing. With the information that we have, it could have been as simple as this. Gitara never had a foretelling about Tigraine or Luke.
She made them up.
All Gitara was told was to make sure that the royal line of Andor stops.
Yep.
That's all she could have been told. And she was like, okay, I'm going to get rid of Luke and I'm going to get rid of Tigraine. There it is. I've done my bidding. And now they tell me, oh, now I have to go back to the White Tower and do my business there. And, the keeper, it could be that easy.
Okay.
I tend to think that she did have some inkling about Slayer, at least, because she sent she sent Luke away, which does not make any sense at all, right?
What?
At least with well, go ahead, Rain.
No, I'm saying like if you want to fuck up the royal line, you send out the kids. Like it could be that she just sent them away and they just went on their own adventures and ended up like happy
Because
accidents, right?
whatever,
Like
just ended up
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way,
yes.
but
Yeah,
she
sure.
succeeded at she maybe she thought he'd go out and just die out there, but she succeeded in ruining the line and creating the succession. She might be damned like what they ended up doing out there. She just like, no, you gotta you gotta go. And why would she imagine Tigraine would survive in the way, or Luke would survive the blight? Like she just probably assumed they were dying.
Well, where did this dark prophecy come from then, right? I mean, so what I'm presenting is that perhaps she prophesized Slayer itself and made that happen because it was the prophecy. And we see it written on the wall, and it says Luke, it says Isam. They're only 20 years old, or so. The story's not that old, so the prophecy can't be ancient, right? Prophecy's got to be. It's got to be pretty soon. Like
So
if you're
is
talking
that
about Luke and
also-
Isam, the Mountain's Doom. I
Is
don't
that
know.
also from Moradin's book?
But if we take that the oldest Aes Sedai in the world at that point could have been a dark friend, and this person can foretell, and we saw that she did intervene in the Luke Isam dynamic, and lo and behold, those two people are listed right in the fucking dark prophecy. So like it seems that yeah, we could say it's a coincidence, but golly, where'd this thing come from then?
So remember, if she is a dark friend, maybe she's probably doesn't have the 3 odes anymore, and that's why she's not dead.
Yeah, but still, regardless of that, she's still the oldest that we have, right?
Yeah.
Because she renounced the oaths.
But I thought you could live to 300, right? Is that unheard of if you have the oaths?
No
I
one
thought
has lived that long. No one's lived to 300. They even said it when Rhianna Corley told Elaine she was what, 412 or 312?
I think 400.
It was either 312 or 412. But whatever she said, Elaine was like, Rihanna, no Aes Sedai's lived even close to how old you are in years. In years. And we know that from sheer force of will, Cerelia is as old as Catsuin. And Catsuin's got to be like 275 years old.
Yeah,
what do you think, Light Blind Fool? We've dropped a couple heavy.
Well, I'm trying to decide whether to support this theory or shoot it down, because I have evidence for both.
Okay. All right, do it.
I guess to start with, I'll help it along a little. So you were talking earlier about this letter that Gitara was writing right before the dragon prophecy, and she was actually sitting there for like 4 hours and had only written like half a page. Yep. So like, was she kind of trying to fight the pattern in a way to get that letter out and couldn't do it? Or is that like kind of like with like epilepsy or something, like before the
fugue, the aura,
that fugue, right? Could have been something more like that, or just all the stuff going on with the war she was thinking about. But interesting, right? So that's another maybe point in your favor. One thing that's interesting though as well is that apparently Swan had been told by Gitara at one point that, what was it? The Aiel wise ones might be able to channel, and that the Aiel called themselves the people of the dragon. So she was aware, at least potentially, that the dragon could be connected to the Aiel. So that would maybe suggest that she sent Tigraine for good purposes toward the.
Or it would suggest that she got that knowledge from one of the Forsaken who already knew about it.
Could be.
All right, actually, here's a quote to just to back that up real quick, LBF. Perhaps, but I read something of the IEO. But I read something of the IEO when I was accepted. Gitara Moroso thought that some of the IEO wise ones might be able to channel. Gitara had been keeper then. One of the books she made me read, an old thing from the dustiest corner of the library, claimed that the IEO called themselves the People of the Dragon. I did not remember it until I tried puzzling out where Rand could have vanished to. The prophecy said, the Stone of Tears shall never fall till the People of the Dragon come, and there were Aiel in the taking of the stone. That every rumor and tale agrees on. Go on, El. Yeah, that it just like I found that cool right when you're talking.
So yeah, so I mean, I think it's definitely understood that this wasn't the first foretelling Gitara had. She's had multiple foretellings over the course of her lifetime. These are just the main ones that relate to the plot of the book. Now, the whole Luke going into the Blight thing, I always found to be the most odd. And why would she send Luke into the Blight? What was the purpose of all that if he just ends up being Slayer, right? Well, she probably didn't know that he would end up becoming Slayer, just knew that it was important for some reason. And you could argue that, if Slayer hadn't been there, Perrin wouldn't have become as advanced in the Wolf Dream as he became because of that push. And therefore, maybe Lanfear might have come in at the end and killed Rand, or the whole issue with the Dream Spikes would have just crushed everything toward the end of the last battle, and the Black Tower situation, Andral would have been done, like all this stuff, right? And Loghain taken out. All kinds of things came along from Slayer. Yeah, he killed a bunch of wolves. That's really bad. It's really sad. But ultimately, did he really do anything that caused a problem in the end, other than train Perrin, in a way? So ultimately, maybe that's why it turned out to be a good thing. And then, this is more important than that, probably, in terms of what Gitara was thinking. Luke's the first Prince of the Sword. He's going to protect Tigraine. If he finds out Tigraine's going to the waste and sneaking off, he's going to raise a whole ruckus, right? Like, he's going to stop that from happening. Or he's going to go with her, maybe, but most likely try to stop it from happening.
But
and that was the most important telling. Tigraine going to waste was the biggest thing. Then I can see why she might want to get him out of the way first.
Well, I can definitely see Luke being an absolute dark friend, first of all, because we know for a fact from Slayer's POV, Luke is a jealous guy. When Tigraine married Tarangale, that made Tarangale the first Prince of the Sword. So I can see Luke going to Gitara and saying, I want power, and her recruiting him and saying, okay, the Great Lord says go to the Blight. He needs both him and then the souls are first.
All right, here I got a quote. Dan, you want to read it?
Sure. Slayer's voice. All right. Luke wanted to be part of something important, Slayer shouted. In that we're the same, though I sought the ability to channel. The Dark One cannot grant that, but he found something different for us, something better, something that requires a soul to be melded with something else, like what happened to you, Ibarra, like you. We are nothing alike, Slayer. We're nothing alike, Slayer, Perrin said softly. But we are. That's why I laughed. And there's a prophecy about Luke, that he'll be important to the last battle. That's why we're here. We'll kill you, then we'll kill Althor, just like we killed that wolf of yours.
Right. Night. Good reading. So, yeah, Luke wanted to be part of something important.
He was definitely, so he was going to make a deal with the Dark One. That is a Dark One. So,
yeah. And I could also read that he wanted to fulfill Tara's foretelling, and that she told him that he needed to go to the Blight for something very important for the benefit of the world.
Guys, everyone watching, by the way, thank you so much for being here and spending your Sunday with us each and every week. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We do this every week, and we really appreciate you doing such.
All right, so we're almost done with the quotes. And then we can just freely talk. I really love these quotes, and it's So my father said Gitara Moroso was really at fault. Gitara, a wonder he did not sound strangled. He had heard that name more than once. It had been an Aes Sedai named Gitara Moroso, a woman with the foretelling, who announced that the dragon had been reborn on the slopes of Dragonmount, and so set Moraine and Swan on their long search. It had been Gitara Moroso who years before had told Shael that unless she fled to the waste, telling no one, and become a maiden of the spear, disaster would fall on Andor and the world. Dylan nodded, a touch impatiently. Gitara was counselor to Queen Mordrellin, she said briskly, but she spent more time with Tigraine and Luke, Tigraine's brother, than with the Queen. After Luke rode north, never to return, whispers said Gitara had convinced him that his fame lay in the Blight or his fate. Others said that he would find the dragon reborn there, or that the last battle depended on him going. That was about a year before Tigraine disappeared. Myself, I doubt Gitara had anything to do with it, or with Luke. She stayed the Queen's counselor until Mordrellin died. From heartbreak over Tigraine on top of Luke, which is awkward. So it was said. Which began the succession, of course. You would have found a different Andor without that. Tigraine Queen, Morghese only high seed of House Trakand, Elaine not born at all. Morghese married Terengale once she had the throne, you see. Who can say what else would be changed?
And so she is the biggest linchpin catalyst in the creation of what comes to occur on Dragonmount.
Which says that she also could be Ta'Veren herself.
So that's a good question.
That's the other, yeah, there you go. That's the other like line of inquiry.
Now we know that Swan can see Ta'Veren.
It's true.
Swan never mentions that she saw it.
That is a huge, huge, huge point.
Yep.
That's the end of the beginning right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, but what is foretelling, right? It's not Ta'Veren, but it's kind of like Ta'Veren.
The point that it's not Ta'Veren is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it says if Swan does have that ability, so
right. But that's a great question, LBF, because it isn't a foretelling the pattern speaking through someone, and what is Ta'Veren but the pattern speaking through someone, not literally.
There's some barriers there or some filters, but yeah, the pattern essentially provides this vision to someone, presumably to help them put things in motion, at least in this one-time effect kind of a deal that then propagates from there. Like Ta'Veren's kind of happening all the time, but each of those foretellings is kind of more of a concentrated little pattern touching something to change something. But it really does come down to how does that vision get interpreted, not only by the person doing the foretelling, which most of the time they don't even remember them themselves, but by the people around them, and then retelling of the foretelling to other people later on, or they wrote it down or whatever. And different interpretations can cause different effects, but I assume the pattern kind of knows how that's going to play out for the most part.
That makes sense. You know what? That real fast, Ryan, because foretelling is a talent. It is not something that you train for. It's not something that you can learn to do. It is an involuntary thing that even can kill you. The first real foretelling that we see is Gitara Moroso dying seconds after stating.
Yeah.
Right. Or it could be like Nicola saying, like, the pattern told me that I should get trained faster.
and that's my point. If I was a Shamayo and I wanted to have maximum impact, having a Black Aja with the ability to foretell is quite possibly one of the most valuable assets you could have.
He had it.
Dan, let's do me a favor. Dan, can you fake a foretelling for me right now?
It is in me. This I foretell. Ryan will have pasta tomorrow.
See,
That's perfect.
I would, yeah, like done. Oh my God, another foretelling. B Dizzle is constantly giving, right? Like,
Oh God.
oh, so, are you verklempt? Drink water, Dan.
Yeah. I need hydrate.
So yeah, like you could fake a foretelling, you could invent them, you could say again, like it's very suspicious that we've only had witnesses to one of her foretellings, but everyone knows she has them. They're even asking, how does it take her? Right? Does she shake a lot? Does she drool? Does she vomit? Does she glare? Is she glass-eyed? Is she right? Like no one knows how it takes her because I believe she's just like.
But okay, but let me challenge this just if I can, because from what we understand, the foretelling occurs. There is no real control over it. They can't really edit it as it's coming out of their face. And there's got to be some people that have seen it happen, right? So if you're like, so let's say it's like going into a seizure or something, right? It's like I guess you can fake a seizure, but if you've seen someone do it, then you're like, okay, well, no, this is pretty real.
But who's seen her?
Well,
we have no one saying, oh, I watched her say this or have this about Tigraine or no one's seen these talents.
Well, the one we did see was true.
Was legit, yeah, no, and I get that, and it fucking killed her. Like I imagine, like
in the entire series, we only saw it happen 3 times.
We saw Elida with Rand. We saw Gitara Moroso. We're not counting Min.
No, we're
counting Nicola Trio.
Nicola, when the bubble of evil, right after the bubble of evil hit Saladar, and then Nicola for the first time foretold, and it was, I forgot, she was talking about Brand and Matt, I believe, but yeah, that was her first foretelling.
But it is something that happens. We've seen that foretelling is something, and in fact, Min's powers are known in Shanchen. They call it doom seeing or some shit like that. They know. So this isn't like an obscure. It's obscure, but not unheard of for foretellings. And
Crystal Throne hadn't had one for 500 years.
Right. But I'm sure they had someone who foretold. I mean.
Yeah.
They had prophesizers.
But here's the deal, though. Like,
there was the foretelling that that Tuan got from Damani.
There's this is the big like fuck up with the Aes Sedai and this Oath Rod. Like literally, Gitara could just like walk in and say, I have foretelling, and everyone goes, "Ooh, okay." She can't lie about that. And then
I'm supposed to have bacon with every breakfast.
She's like, guess what I foretold yesterday. Guess what I'm going to foretell tomorrow. Like, and then it could literally be that the only real foretelling she had hit her with Rand and killed her. Like, again, if you don't see the body,
I doubt it because they knew. So when I look at these talents, it seems that foretelling is the most popular one. We have Wolf, we have Dreams, we have Min, we have, and then we have Taverin Seeing. We have foretelling. It seems that foretelling is not as rare as everyone else, right? From what we see, don't we see more foretellers than Wolf brothers?
I don't know what point that is, but yeah, that.
At least in the Aes Sedai.
Dreamwalking is a talent.
Have foretelling as well. In fact, I believe the Wise Ones foretold the same thing that Nicola did about Rand and the last battle and all that. But yeah, but we should make a distinction here. Like the Wolf Brother deal is, and the sniffing and all that is not a talent. It's like because a talent, I believe, has to be related to the power.
Ooh.
So, and foretelling is related.
I
to
thought
power.
talents were independent of power usage.
Like
Well,
Min is Min using the power?
I guess the talent. I guess it depends on the talent. So
Well, Bear
that's a good point.
Bear can dreamwalk and she can't channel.
Right.
You know.
You know, they have they have medicine for that now.
Yeah.
If you
so
can't
I
channel,
like
try.
seeing Kavirin
Bear aspirin?
seeing Kavirin is a talent, but I don't know if it's related to the power. I don't know of anyone that's non-channeler that can see Kavirin. So maybe it is related to the power. It's not actively like you can't.
Glenn is correcting us. The wise ones dreamt those predictions, did not foretell. Okay. But it still stands to reason that it's coming from a similar source.
True.
I would assume.
Oh yeah, so that maybe backs it up that it's coming from the pattern rather than from Dark Friends or compulsion or some other source.
I mean, you had mentioned Min earlier. There is not a whole lot of difference between Min's viewings and some of the interpretations of these things. So if I go back to this, the hunt has now begun. The Shadow's hounds now course and kill. One did live and one did die, but both are. That is pretty much like her saying, yeah, Logain is getting glory, and I don't know what it means. This person has 6 stars and a sword over that. I don't know what that means. Like it is weird pattern stuff. All of it, I think.
Well, keep in mind the Sean Shanna found a way to read the pattern without anybody's power. And they're just as accurate, actually. If you look at the same,
is it though?
Is it?
The sparrow flying 3 times in a circle thing, maybe a little more subjective.
Yeah, it's like, well, what's
Ants
the other?
walking along.
Well, not the first one. It's
it's like throwing bones on a table and like saying,
when we first see Tuan,
that's how I get dressed in the morning, Dan.
That's Winter's Heart, and she comes in on that one ship, the Victory of Kidron, and she didn't want to be Simos Yev because she's just punished the Damani for hearing the foretelling. And she sees an albatross, and that's the first viewing that she sees, the first omen that says victory. The only difference was, though, that albatross had black wings, not white ones.
Ooh.
And then the next one, I believe she saw porpoises, but I can't remember.
What?
But
to what porpoise?
She's wacky, though. She is. You think that she's correct in her interpretations of all this voodoo?
The voodoo that you do?
The voodoo that we all do.
They guided her to Matt.
That was more the foretelling by the Damani. The guy.
Yes, but she still followed the omens. In all of her POVs, she saw them and said, "No, stick to the course. Follow Torah."
But was that her telling herself to stick to the course and interpreting the omens the way that best went?
Very good reason. She had very good reasons in her own mind why not to do the things that she was doing, but the omens told her otherwise.
Let's bring in a question that Janie just asked. She says, does that mean that the dark prophecies also came from the same source? I tend to say yes.
Well, we don't know who they actually got them from, but I do remember that Moradin said to Grendel, "We'll know all of their prophecies, but they'll never know all of ours." So somehow, either they kept them, and I think they said something about keeping the people sequestered or something like that, so no one ever heard them. I don't know. But they had...
Maybe they were Black Aja having foretellings in Black Aja meetings.
You bring up another point, though. Like, how strong was the Black Aja before the Forsaken became free again? I mean, were they really 20%, or were they 20% after like Masana jumped in there and started like?
You have to remember that Ishmael was coming back every 40 to 80 years or so. So he says in his own POV that he built the Black Aja from the ground up.
Oh, okay. and just micromanage or macromanage and only showed up every twice a century.
Yeah, well, remember in Alviren's POV, she talks about her predecessor and how Ishmael was pissed off, came to the White Tower, killed her, and made her the head of the council. So Ishmael, they were his baby. He's the one who created it.
Because Ryan and I have spoken in the past during our first time reader about how the Forsaken do seem to micromanage the Black Tower or the White Tower a bit. They're popping in. There's like, hey, if you don't get this, I'm gonna kill your cousin. I'm gonna kill your niece. I'm gonna kill one every week. I'll be back in a month. Shada Haran is showing up, being all spooky.
Well, like the White Tower is kind of like a staffing agency for the Forsaken.
Oh yeah, I guess.
You got come here. I got some shit for you to do. Go do it. If you don't do it, you die.
Yeah.
Like get on your knees.
But you rarely had that threat of violence when Moradin was only or Ishamael was only showing up twice every 100 years.
Oh well, yeah, because in Shirian's POV, she talks about how she loved being a Black Azar. She didn't have to do anything. She didn't join for some huge fight with the Dragon Reborn. She did it for power and influence.
And they have a good salad bar every Friday.
Let's bring that. Our chat is the best. Uber Spearmint asks, are the snakes and foxes foretellers?
Not the same way.
They have the pattern?
They have a way of reading the pattern from kind of outside the pattern. And they can touch the world and the pattern in a way and pull in all these experiences and knowledge from it, but because they're not really bound by time in the same way that folks within the pattern are, they can see some things in the past, they can see some things in the future. They piece it together in weird ways, and what they do with it, I guess they savor it. I don't know. But
savor.
Yeah.
Could they literally be in the future?
Yes, because thought is the arrow of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. I'm gonna write that down and get it tattooed on my lower back. All right. Speaking of lower back, tramp stamps. Wait, real quick. Brother Dan, get ready.
Oh,
we got a $20 donation from Matt Stagger. Let's give him a wrap.
Yeah. Better late than never, y'all. Hey, all, I'm here. Play ball with you all in the mall. I went to Foot Locker, got some new kicks. I jumped high. Hey, look slick. Ryan, hit it now.
Take it away, Matt Stagger. Always bringing the heat. Matt Stagger coming in, swinging his meat. Can't swing. Yeah, as the great Todd would say, can't swing a dick without hitting a Matt Stagger.
Yeah.
Now that I realize it, nothing rhymes with Matt Stagger. He's the Mad Hatter.
You're a lagger.
Thank you. Uber lagger. All right. Hey, so yeah, that if you want to see more horrible impromptu raps, just give us some super donations. I did not expect you to slap it towards me, Dan. We're gonna have to have a meeting about that.
No, right. On your toes, baby. When I say, Ryan, get in there, you need to rip your sweats off, over and hit the table and go.
Do they? Okay, they don't even have those anymore. Jansen, Life Blinded Fool, do you ever have those sweats that button down the sides of your legs and you pulled them off?
Oh, the warm-ups?
Warm-ups, yeah.
Yeah, basketball.
When I used to play basketball all the time, I had some. I haven't had any in a long time though.
It's my big move when I'm about ready to make love. I walk in with my warm-ups on, and I rip them. Stop.
Right before, do you hear a buzzer?
Like an old
Like a timeout, yeah.
Chorus reverbed buzzer.
Yeah.
All right,
no.
Oh,
Matt Stagger. His face
His
is a
phone.
two-bagger. Oh no! A rhyme to make you stagger. All
it's
right.
harder than it looks, chat. All right, yeah. Let's give them what the people want. Okay.
That's so much better with music, Ryan. Oh, man.
Yeah, instead of what you had to suffer through the first time.
Oh man. I'm
Stands.
he keeps going. He's keep going.
All
It
right.
looks like that.
So we have I put a poll out a while ago. Guys, we're not convincing the masses. I'm going to close the poll soon. If you haven't voted yet, get in there.
We have a
Is
poll?
Gitara Moroso a dark friend? So far, 91% saying no. We're not convincing anyone, guys.
Nobody.
We got to do better. All right, for the rest of the show, we're here to convince them that A, she fucking killed Mordrellin. No one dies of a fucking broken heart.
No
If you're
one dies
If you're a
of
goddamn,
grief.
you're a queen. You're a queen. You don't die of grief. You fucking
I know
carry
it's
on.
a different series, but so many people in Game of Thrones have died of a broken heart or threw themselves off a tower, and it doesn't happen.
Nope, doesn't happen. So yeah, we got to convince them that she killed Mordrellin.
She killed Mordrellin.
Purposely
She got rid of her
sent the
kids.
kids off on wild goose chases just to disrupt the Andor line.
I think
Created
that- yes,
the
she
succession.
did not understand that the Aiel were actually a part of the prophecy and needed to happen. I think she just said, "You need to run away, or your family's gonna die." She's like, "Okay, and
Yep.
don't tell anyone." Okay.
Oh yeah. Don't tell anyone. That's yeah. Whenever an adult tells a child not to tell
Oh,
anyone.
yeah. This will be our little secret, all right, kid?
Yeah. So yeah,
All right,
Guitar
I got
Moroso,
one.
This is hit me.
Please go for it.
All
I'll be
right. She's described as being beautiful, almost voluptuous. Thank you, RJ. With snow white hair. She also was flamboyant enough for a green or a yellow with a fondness for jewelry. Who else do we know by basically that description? That's
Yes!
right. Selena. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Selena. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Light blinded fool. I think we're turning him at least. We got one convert.
I think we're gonna have to do the poll
So-
at the end to see who we changed minds, Ryan.
Well, here's a big one. Why, anytime in the books, is anyone sent to the Blight for recruiting?
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Mm.
Like all the male channelers.
Every time. It's for recruiting. And she sent a dark friend there to become more powerful.
So now this was right around the time that Malkier fell, right? No, this was after that. This was after,
After, I think.
No,
Yeah,
let's
this
see.
was-
Okay, so
This was like 25 years after, probably. Because because Isam had grown up, right?
So we know that Tigraine had been gone for 5 years.
When
So
Luke left? No, Luke left a year before
no,
Tigraine.
Luke left a year before Tigraine. I'm just trying to do the timeline, and so
Sure.
that's
Oh.
6 years to the time when, at least 6 years.
Yeah.
And she went back to become
Okay.
the keeper.
It was 971 when she advised Luke to go seek glory in the Blight.
So 5 years.
21 years
so
after Malkier.
a year before that, Layman cut down the tree.
Layman cutting down the tree was later.
Well,
Um,
before Rand was born.
Uh-huh.
Layman cutting down the tree was like 978. End of
Okay.
978. Yeah.
So the Aiel War was what, 3 years? 2?
Oh, maybe it was 9. Yeah, it was like 2 years, probably, or a year, maybe a year even.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Um,
Malkier had already fallen, yes.
Yeah.
Because Land was already in his 20s. So Malkier fell 20 years prior to that.
And then 972 is around I think Vlad was born, and right after that is when Tigraine went to the Blight.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, she's attaches herself to seats of power like a barnacle. I think
Okay.
she might be one of the most notorious liars in the history of Wheel of Time.
Also, in New Spring, in Chapter 2, Moraine is thinking about Gitara right before the telling, foretelling, and she said that she thought her always just and usually fair, but kindness never seemed to occur to her.
Yep.
Right.
All right, I have that quote. Let me grab that.
While you're doing that, let me read this, Ryan. So Gitara says that the Dragon Reborn burned like the sun before she died. Let me read this little thing. We don't have it on here, but it says, Rand eventually reached him. Meet my eyes, Weramon, Rand said softly. My Lord Dragon, surely I'm not worthy to do it. Weramon did so with an odd difficulty, as if it was gritting his teeth, his eyes watering. So it is you, Rand said. Matt could feel his disappointment. Rand looked to the side to where Anayela stood last in line. The pretty woman had pulled away from Rand. Both of you. My lord, Weramon began. I want you to deliver a message for me, Rand said, to the others of your association. Tell them that they cannot hide amongst my allies any longer. Weramon tried to bluster, but Rand took a step closer. Weramon's eyes widened, and Anayela's cried out, shading her face. As if it burned like a sun.
Yep.
Rand Workerman, that light, it killed me. It killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rand was a force.
Was she reacting as a dark friend to the prophecy itself?
Yeah, I mean, here is the quote from New Spring. Line Blind Fool, you want to read that?
Gitara Moroso was always just and usually fair, but kindness never seemed to occur to her. She was also flamboyant enough for a green or a yellow. Tall and close to voluptuous, she wore a wide necklace of fire drops, earrings with rubies the size of pigeons' eggs, and 3 jeweled rings beside her great serpent ring. Her dress was a deeper blue than Tamra's and brocaded, and the keeper's stole on her shoulders, blue, since she had also been raised from blue, was nearly wide enough to be called a shawl. Moraine had heard that Gitara still considered herself a blue, which would be shocking if true. The width of her stole certainly spoke in favor of the whispers. Something else placed Gitara out of the ordinary. She had the foretelling sometimes, the talent of speaking what was still in the future. That was a very rare talent, and came to her only occasionally, but gossip, the accepted quarters overflowed with tittle-tattle. Gossip said that Gitara had had more than one foretelling in the last few months. Some claimed that the reason the armies outside the city had been in place when the Aiel came was one of Gitara's foretellings.
All right, so now you can see just how, like, again, there's no witnesses to these foretellings, and like rumors are flying. So it seems like be one of the greatest tools of manipulation possible.
Oh yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if she knew the Aiel were good or toward the dragon, right? Why would they put the armies there to stop them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. I mean, so you have a woman who is the oldest and most respected Aes Sedai in the land. A woman who has foretellings that rumor has it she's having them a couple of times a month.
Which
at this point. And to your point, Ryan, there's an awful lot of power in saying that you have a foretelling. Mm-hmm. I called it sick from school a few times. I faked my parents. You could probably fake as foretelling, maybe. I don't know. If you've had a bunch of them, who's to say they're all legit?
Dan used to try and do our parents' handwriting and like sign their names on his report cards.
I
and
did pretty good.
You get in trouble so much. No,
I got in trouble one time because my sister was coming up to pick me up, and I had detention. I ran out. I'm all, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. And I went back in, and the teacher was like, don't tell mom. And then she opened up her desk, and she had a whole bunch of like my detentions like in her desk, and she started like scrutinizing them. And I was like, oh man,
the gig's up.
The gig is up. There goes the jig. All right. So we have this very we have a very influential person within the Aes Sedai who has a talent that is very rare. She is in is it possible that her foretelling was closer to something like what Elida had, was just simply that the House of Andor and House of Trakand specifically was a part of this, and she tried to break it up by saying, "Oh, Andor, I'm going to sow chaos by sending all their kids willy-nilly."
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to look at it. I think so.
Well, our chat doesn't believe so. Damn it! Only 9% do.
Yeah, they're intransigent.
Which 9% out of 13? I think there's only one. I think that's one person, Ryan.
No.
You know what? There's also the simplest thing too.
Yeah.
Nowhere in the books does it say that she wasn't.
Good point.
It doesn't say that she was. Not even in the companion does it list it. But that does not necessarily mean that she was not.
You know, it would, for her to not be, there's more holes in the story if she's not. You know?
We've seen in real life where people claim to have visions and they're wrong or false.
Because think about this. For someone to be that influential, the most influential person in the entire thing, there is no story without her.
Right.
And the light barely won.
So if she's the most influential, wouldn't the light have lost? If she was
Rand snuffed her out.
And also, by the way, let me. We had talked about Slayer before. I am going to say that Slayer was not vital for Perrin's growth. I think Lanfear could have taught him. Lanfear did not trust Slayer. She said to keep away from him. I don't think that Slayer was necessarily the linchpin for Perrin to become a god in the dreams per se.
He's a mini boss battle. You get a lot of XPs.
But that doesn't make sense for if she was a light-sided person, for her to assist in creating Slayer does not make sense to me.
No, not at all.
She didn't know that's what would happen, and the pattern is neutral.
Or did she?
The pattern just wants to get to a particular end goal. How it gets there depends on.
Was to Perrin what the Golem was to Matt. They were both life basic diseases from the shadow that both of them had to clean up.
Right, but this is but hold on, but this is Rand's stepbrother?
No, Rand's
uncle. Rand's uncle.
It's Land's stepbrother, right?
Land's cousin.
Land's cousin, Rand's uncle. Yeah.
So and also this Isam was an amalgamation, or Slayer was an amalgamation of Luke and Isam that the Dark One did. This wasn't something that the pattern created. The Dark One did. So there is a prophecy about it. This is a woman who foretells, and she's the one who sent him off.
Oh,
I don't see where we can't connect these dots.
Check this out.
Yes.
So Luke ends up killing Rand's father, Janduin.
Yes.
If Janduin had been around when Rand went to the Waste, he may have very well influenced him in lots of ways to not do what he needed to do.
Like
Such
just
as what?
because the emotional aspect of it.
What would
I
it
don't know.
change?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he would have had a different, he would meet his true father or his biological father or whatever, and that could have changed his whole situation. Like, he's supposed to be the chief of chiefs. Now if he's got this father tagging along, right? That's going to change the way the IO look at him. That's going to change the way everybody looks at
Its
him.
father would have also been a chief, remember?
True. So that would have been an interesting dynamic there to have to try to work through. And maybe his father would have had different ideas for what he should be doing and try to influence him and maybe succeed in influencing him to do something different than leaving the IEL out to
Then there would be no need for Gulanin. Because
Right.
that's what happened there. That would have been a fight against them.
Wow. Oh, fuck. It's so hard to believe that the pattern. But with balance, and you got to have some dark sides in there, right? And Luke became dark. I'm full team. She is a dark friend, guys. I'm full team. I think it's too dodgy, and I think she died because the Dragon Reborn and the Light of the World was born, and it burnt her to a dark friend crisp.
Yeah, I mean, again, like that letter. It's all about the letter she was writing.
To whom?
We don't know. She was writing this letter that took 4 hours, and she got half a page. Writer's block is a bitch, but like,
what you wearing?
It shouldn't kill you. You should, no, you think she's texting?
I was thinking of you last night when I was hugging my pillow.
So does this change anything at all? Adalorna mentioned that Gitara had a foretelling that Carmen Gaiden would come within the lifetime of Sisters Alive at the time.
Wasn't that a rumor, though?
I believe it's something that Adalorna mentioned to...
When they were all running with the Accepted... with Tamara to get to hear the announcement from Tamara Spania, right? So they started talking about and stuff like. I mean, they talked about everybody's getting raised to the shawl right now and things like that. And so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I remember that.
So I don't know if that changes anything, but it does speak to her having more foretellings than just that one. I'm also wondering if one reason she may have died when she had that particular foretelling is because she was older than she should have been, older than Cadsuane, right? Why was she able to survive that long? Was it because the pattern kept her alive that long so that she could have that foretelling? And once that happened, pattern didn't have any more use for her to keep her alive.
That's definitely
Pattern sucks.
Pattern discards friends,
sucks.
man. Yeah, moves on.
All
I
right,
want to bring this up, Ryan. Actually, yeah. This,
let's say hi to Eretz Honey Cakes. I love new names, new faces.
I like their ears.
Hey, keep your hands on. Hey, what do you? Eyes in the middle, Dan. Stop staring at the ears. Did anyone here talk Ranrod that both or one of Slayer's halves were also wolf brothers, corrupted to balance parents? So that talk Ranrod is another competitive show. We hate them
Ryan.
Yeah. They beat me in an arm wrestling competition, and I've never forgiven them.
Joe, Tom, and Jen, who are so kind, they're the worst.
Joe's got the greatest voice in the biz. Anyways, so I guess they have a theory. Is that a theory, or what do we think of this?
Did we talk Ranrod?
What is it? What's the theory?
That Slayer's half was also a wolf brother.
So Luke
So
or Isam were a wolf brother that were then corrupted. I mean, maybe. I guess it's possible. If so, it wouldn't have manifested yet, and they were kind of older than parents, so they probably would have started to manifest by then.
That
Could be.
totally makes sense. It makes sense. It
Yeah.
does because he can do what they can do.
Right. It could be that the Dark One used whatever that is, and corrupted
Exactly.
it,
Right?
and
Yeah,
then put it into
that makes
them.
a lot of sense to
Made
me.
them wolf
Yeah,
brothers.
I mean, he was really, really good in the dream world.
well, I mean, it would be so weird to be a corrupted wolf brother because no wolf would talk to you. It would be like you don't even have the power until
Oh.
you go to dreams and go kill them.
Well, the wolves were just as scared as Slayer as they were of the Dark Hounds. They're terrified
He
of the Dark
couldn't
Hounds.
talk to wolves, but
No.
how he was able to travel in and out of Tel'aran'rhiod, like a wolf brother, is because of the merging of the two souls. I think I'm pretty sure I remember hearing this from the Dusty Wheel episode, maybe. That it's the merging, it's the actual just the merging of the that has that as a side effect. And the way Wolf Brother works is that Perrin is kind of merged with the souls of the wolves, and so that is how that same effect happens. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it has like the same effect, except that he can't talk to wolves.
Extremely knowledgeable about it.
Say again?
Lanfear seems to know more about it than anybody.
Maybe she had a hand in making it.
Well, she's the one who told Perrin that he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, Lanfear wasn't out when he was made, right? That would have been Ishamael?
It would have been Ishmael, but you forget, he was in the town, so he had access to all kinds of dark friends. And the Great Lord himself, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just realizing how much of a like foreshadowing this is for the ending with Ran, and the merging and this flipping of bodies and everything.
Oh yeah, wow.
So I think we see that if I'm not even convinced that either of them are wolf brothers per se. I don't know if there can be dark side wolf brothers, but if so, that speaks dodgily about wolves in general. I guess there's some. But also, it shows that talents.
Sure. But...
Oh yeah.
Well, we know that wolves' souls can be turned.
What?
If wolves' souls can be turned into dark hounds.
Yeah.
Is that a? Oh.
Well,
they'd be like soulless.
Dark hounds and then become dark hounds.
We don't hear that either Luke or Isam develop yellow eyes, and Slayer does not have yellow eyes.
True, but remember, I think Aaron asked Elias, "Can dark hounds consume a man that can talk to wolves?" And he didn't know.
So this is a good point, but it also could still also be true. Like he would be the first instance of someone who merged bodies with a wolf brother, and this is the outcome, right? Like, so we wouldn't know if his eyes, maybe the eyes don't change, or maybe all you get is the ability to
Slayer's eyes like Lance.
I mean, it's possible.
I don't see Slayer as a wolf brother.
You mean Steely Gray?
I love that song.
Yeah.
The Fine Color.
I do, however, think that at the end of the book, Saul should have had yellow eyes too, but that's just me.
What?
Gull?
I absolutely think that the wolves. I mean, I think the wolves should have definitely embraced Gull. He fought with brothers, in his POV at the end, and they fought together. So I really, they should have. I thought they should have made his eyes yellow.
So I think we've proven today that despite Gitara Moroso's best efforts, the pattern still allowed the light side to win. Right? Is that what I'm? Is that our?
That's one interpretation for sure.
I'm glad we agree.
So what if Gitara hadn't been there at all? Right?
Theoretically, things would have played out just as they did. Right?
Well, Moraine and Swan wouldn't have gone on the hunt to find the dragon, right?
But
So the
so we
Trollocs
have
would
this
killed
we have
Ren
this
and
question. If it wasn't
him and
loyal,
Snow.
would it have just been some other Ogier? Would the pattern have just substituted whatever it needs
Right.
for whoever's there at that time, and it was loyal at this time? So it was Swan and Moraine at this time, but the pattern would have done what the pattern does anyways. The wheel weaves as it wills,
Okay.
and so it's like Tavernus.
So you're saying if it wasn't Gitara, it would have been someone else for all of her prophecies.
I don't think there's any free will in this world at all. No. I think it's all
kind of
determined.
like how the pattern sets up falls because it might need one of them to be the real dragon until the real dragon's proclaimed.
Yeah, it has a bullpen.
So maybe Elida is discount Gitara Moroso.
Right.
Activated.
Walmart Gitara, yeah.
Walmart.
All right, another poll is up. I'm asking, did we change your views on Gitara?
Did we do it? Yes or no?
We have yes, no, and no. The other one is nothing affects me. I'm perfect.
Yeah.
So you have 3 options.
Oh man.
The polls are anonymous, so we don't know who's voting what. So have fun.
I think it's cool to speculate about her. This is a woman we hear just in only brief passings in flashback and retrospect, and yet she has single-handedly, inadvertently or advertently, on purpose, put everything in motion for the Dragon Reborn and Perrin to win. Or she tried her best to deny that happening, and the pattern did it anyway. I don't know where I said. I think I said that the pattern corrects anyways. I mean, people are falling off ladders and not breaking their necks. Shit. If that happens, then shit.
So yeah,
I mean, people are melting alive, man.
I'm with Janie right here. I think
she's not Janie incorrect.
The idea of like a highly interventionist pattern seems to be counter to like literally what it keeps saying. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills, and human lives are what the pattern threads, right? Are the threads that the pattern uses. Mm-hmm. Like, I always assume the pattern just like, oh, we need a course correction, throw in, you know, an NPC.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just interesting. Like the more we talk about it, I'm hearing like the pattern like kind of intervening in these very, very highly specific ways, which I think is interesting. And so we're talking about like free will, but with like targeted like exceptions where this person doesn't have free will, but everyone else does, or you know, it gets really convoluted. But I like to think that the pattern does what it does. It just like adds humans. Or so like, okay, so like, here's a good question: does the pattern make someone Taveran or not? Is that a pattern action?
Doesn't it have to?
Yeah, I think so.
The pattern creates awareness. Whether it's temporary or permanent, the pattern, when the pattern needs it, the pattern makes it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Pattern is as pattern does.
Yeah, I think Taveran are like pattern lightning rods they put on top of like Empire State Buildings and stuff.
All right.
So yeah, what's the poll saying, Ryan?
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah, no, 56. Yeah, 56% said no. 11% said yes. We changed their mind, which is, I think, just one out of 9 is.
Yeah, no,
just one out of 9 is 11.
Yes, no. Yeah.
All right, we'll do better next time.
Go ahead, Jansen.
Question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a Taveran and a hero of the Horde?
One's alive.
One's alive.
But when they're so their very, very first life, are they Taveran?
we know Archer Hawkwing was one of the strongest ever.
Yeah.
We assume that I assume that at least that because Brigitte and Guido Kane always connect in their lives, that is a pattern creation, which to me would be somewhat sort of Tamariness.
So like their first life, Baron, that's what makes them a hero of the Horn.
Or at least the first one that they're a hero in, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. If they were a hero, they were probably a Tavir in that lifetime. But, sometimes they come back and they have, just really dull lifetimes. So they're probably not Taviran in those. And Matt is obviously Taviran in this lifetime, but he doesn't become a hero. So I think it just depends on which lifetime they're in.
I think they played a joke on Matt, and he really is a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Found out in the show. Now he is.
Matt always talks about the pattern playing a joke on him. I have to believe them. They even say you've done enough to be one of us. There's no way Matt cannot be a hero of the Horn. They're going to be talking. They're going to be singing stories about him for the next 1,000 years.
Jansen, Matt is no bloody hero.
No bloody hero.
You want him to be a hero in perpetuity? This is hell for Matt.
You remember what
He doesn't want that.
If you fight it, it'll rip you right into where it's supposed to be.
So would Matt, Hero of the Horn, have memories?
He does on the show, but
yeah.
No, if Matt came back as a hero of the Horn, would he be still accessing those memories as a dead hero of the Horn?
This is his first run.
I mean, if he was called by the Horn, yes.
Yeah,
if he came back as another.
His first life, you're Tavera, I think this is his first run.
He's the anti-hero of the Horn.
Yeah,
That's
well
good.
said. Yeah.
He's the gambler. Is who he is.
Yeah, son of battles.
Yep. I mean, I'm telling you, there's nobody. I mean, I would even, argue that Matt almost is, does feats more Taviran than Rand.
So Aerith is with you, Jansen. She thinks there's a cosmic joke on him also.
With him being called the Son of Battles, it does suggest that Matt is a reborn. He's not just accessing memories, but he is also from a lineage, per se.
See, that always seemed like a confusing point
right?
to me.
Right? Son of Battles.
I thought, I assumed literally that he, there was a epigenetic memory, through literal blood ties, the Manetheren blood ties. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. Jansen, as he goes through all of his memories, are they all Manetheren heroes? No, he has memories of being like a Shanshan general and shit, right?
No, I'm not even talking memories. I'm saying the term Son of Battles itself.
Yeah, he has a memory of being a lord and a king of Aeron. He has memories of being a soldier in Shiota. He has memories of talking to. He has memories of being Madik Commander.
Oh yeah, Jansen's theory is that all these. Your theory is that all of the soldiers that he has memories of, they went through the doorway themselves, right? Didn't you say something like that?
Yeah, I believe it was a ritual in the era during that time for everyone to go through, and I believe they had to, and that's how they collected them. Because when Matt gave Tuon the horse, he had while he was chasing, he had the thought, and he realized that they all must have gone in because he remembered them all dying. So that's he remembered that. So that's what
he remembered them all.
Matt,
okay.
He remembers them dying, and Matt also, when he's discussing, we just read about it last chapter or last week, Ryan, where they're discussing going to. He reads the letter from Moraine to Tom, and he's like, and they're like, yeah, it's Tower Genji, it's that big thing off the river, and he's like, fuck, you guys don't understand that us just talking about it, me reading this, they probably know that this is happening. They're in my head, I think, and I don't know if he's wrong, but
I think he's absolutely right.
Yeah. What do you think, Elvia?
I think that they can't that they may have foreseen something like that happening in the future, because they can kind of look into the future, like we talked about before. I don't know how actively they actually can like watch over his shoulder as he goes about day to day, at least until they get the eye from him. I think after they get the eye from him, they can like see everything real time.
Whoa.
I
Then
think
how do
for
they
that,
know
they
about
can
death? How does
sort of
Matt know?
distill from him.
But so for what? How does Matt experience the deaths of these persons? They obviously didn't die before they went into the doorway.
No, I think that they got a. Matt deduces that they got a connection to them once they walk through the doorway.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So Matt was like,
Hmm.
"Man, these guys know what we're even talking about."
It's like reverse Google Glasses, Dad.
right. It's like being John Malkovich
Yeah, exactly.
Or Inner Space.
or Inner Space. I'm entering the colon.
All right. I'm happy to end on an Inner Space reference. We've hit
It's been
our
a good
mark.
talk.
That was a great talk.
Birthday party for my son to plan for tomorrow.
Ooh, happy birthday, Lex. This is my 1-year anniversary of no tobacco. So,
Wow.
yeah.
What up?
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Proud
yeah.
of you. I'm so proud of you, brother Dan.
Thanks, me too. I
Life
did
Line
10
of Full,
push-ups
is
yesterday.
there anything you have to promote or say? This is your time. Do you want to spread peace and joy throughout the world?
Yeah, I would like to spread peace and joy throughout the world, and also one way to do that is to come join us on the Third Age Discord. It's a great board game, fun to play. You can talk about Wheel of Time with other folks while you play an amazing Wheel of Time themed board game online, and I enjoy it.
I recommend it, guys. This is a growing community. It's a board game that who created this?
That was made by Wheel Up Time,
Will Upton.
also known as James, and
He did the rap battle
he,
videos.
created it a little while back. We have the Third Age Discord. I can send you a link if you don't have it.
I was gonna say, can you post it in the chat, or send it here in the private, and I'll post it in chat.
Yeah.
Permanently.
But if you guys like tabletop games, this is a creative Wheel of Time based. You have powers, you have angry owls and stuff. You get to use different things on your turns. It's turn based and it's fun and it's really creative. And why not support it? You know.
Yeah.
And
So here, So here, I'm gonna post this into the chat. You guys could all join at your leisure. I'm certainly gonna join.
Jansen,
That's
do you
awesome.
have anything? What's going on in the exciting world of Jansen coming up?
What do I have coming up? I've got a lot of auditions coming up in the next 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. It's always a crapshoot. I will be on SWAT, I believe, next week. I gotta see the dates on that. I think it's next week or it's the week after. But SWAT, getting shot up.
We'll put let us know when it is, and we'll put it in our Discord, and people can screenshot you and meme you. We're gonna make memes out of you.
I like it. Love it.
Lifeline Fool, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you
thank you
wanted
for
to
having me
talk
on.
guitar. You're awesome, bro. Jansen, you're always awesome, bro. But thank you again. I hope tomorrow is a magical day for you and your son. Ryan,
Love you.
I love you.
I love you too, man. Proud of you.
And I want to beat people in FIFA.
Let's go.
We're gonna go beat people.
Let's
in
go. All right, yeah, everyone. Fucking run for your lives. This is the way.